Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 137 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Oklahoma, and the University of Texas. I'm here with my man, Kevin Miller. I am John Whitson. Kevin, I posted this on the X last night about 9:30 when I was watching a video of the Vanderbilt faithful carrying the goalposts down Broadway in Nashville, Tennessee, on their way to the river with a police escort. And you know what I said, Kevin? I said, if you don't love college football, you suck. Because yesterday was an awesome day. Listen, I don't like bye weeks because it means Oklahoma didn't play. I know you don't love bye weeks because it means Texas doesn't play. But if they're not going to play and we could be rewarded with this, holy crap.
Yeah, it was wild, man. It was wild.
Go through it.
Listen, well, in our preview episode, we went into this talking about, not really great games. We'll still watch because we love college football, but nothing that's really exciting, right? No Bama, Georgia like we had the week before.
No.
We were wrong about that, man. This week absolutely delivered. It was just mass hysteria all throughout the country.
Okay. Before we recap, though, this is an Oklahoma, Texas. And via our comments, somebody said it's a Texas-Oklahoma game.
Yeah,
I don't know
Texas,
who's listening.
Texas OU. Let's go.
I don't know who's listening to this podcast anymore. That we got people saying it's Texas OU. That's messed up. But anyway, it's OU Texas, Kevin. This week.
It's the Red River Shootout. How about we just call it that?
You call it whatever you want. Oklahoma's won 18 out of the last 25 years. That's what I know. But anyway.
I know that's got nothing to do with what happens this Saturday, but let's go.
You know what else doesn't have anything to do with what happens this Saturday, but is amazing? I'm driving home from my daughter's soccer game this morning, 3-0 win, by the way. And you and I are doing just a little bit of prep work, right? Just kind of bouncing some ideas off of each other. And you said, did you see the line for the Texas OU game? And I was like, was it like 6.5, 7? Did it bump up to 7? And you were like, no, John, 14.5. Kevin, what the hell is happening? 14.5 point favorite?
I'm surprised. No, for a rivalry game on a neutral site, given the history of these two teams, and I just said that the history has nothing to do with what happens this Saturday. But this game has been so close over the last decade or so. Kevin, every game besides 2022 has been a one-score game for the most part. So I was very surprised to see this.
I bring this up, okay? Not only are we in OU, but with what you saw yesterday, how can you possibly bet on a line that big if you're betting on Texas? I'm not saying Texas doesn't win by 14.5. I mean, I think I will say that on Thursday when we make our picks, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that Texas wins 35-20. Okay, y'all are a very good team. You will be ranked number 1 in the country heading into the Texas game the Oklahoma game for the first time since 1984. But it is, I believe, a deserved number 1, especially after what happened to Alabama. But Kevin, 14.5 points against a 4-1 Oklahoma team.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see that.
And Oklahoma has won in the Cotton Bowl, 6 out of the last 8. Counting the Big 12 championship game, 7 out of the last 9 matchups. Last year we were an underdog and we won. We have an improved defense. Everybody will agree it's a great defense. Everybody's healthy on that side of the ball. Offensively, I get it, but 14.5?
Yeah, I'm surprised too, man. You know, I saw 6.5. I'd seen it as high as 8.5. And even the 8.5 was like, maybe, but 14.5, very surprising. Did not expect to see that at all. What do they know? What does Vegas know that we don't?
I mean, I don't even want to put it out into the ether what they know. I don't want to suppose because I don't want it to be true. So I'm going to say it's a lot of Texas fans drunk on being the number one team in the country, drunk on how well Quinn Ewers and Arch have looked, and they're just unloading on this, and it's moving the lineup. Because God forbid we find out that Vegas knows something.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out throughout this week. Does it stay? Does it go back down? Does it go even higher? I don't know what to think at this point.
Hey,
but
like
you said, it's very fascinating. I'm excited about this game, but yeah, crazy.
If the line stays where it is and nothing has changed on the Oklahoma side of the ball, we know there's some deficiencies in offense, at least up to this date, okay? But if this line stays where it's at, you print this thing and you put it in everybody's freaking locker down at the Cotton Bowl. You put it on the seat, you put it on the pillow in the hotel room the night before. You load my boys up with the fact that they are completely disrespected heading into a game they have owned for the last 25 years. Kevin, come on. This isn't good for Texas. This is not good for Texas.
There's plenty of motivation on both sides. We'll leave it at that.
Are you excited about this? Are you excited about this?
No, but I mean, again, our boys won't be lacking for motivation either. All right.
Dude, you're looking ahead, Kevin. You're looking ahead to Georgia. You're looking ahead to Georgia.
Your boy Danny Stutzman's T-shirts. I'm sure those are all over our facility this week.
Those were good-looking T-shirts, Kevin.
So, yeah.
Good-looking T-shirts.
So the motivation's there for everybody.
Let's just tell everybody real quick what we've got going on for the rest of this week, okay? We've got a surprise guest on Tuesday. We're going to do an episode Tuesday. We've got another surprise guest on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we're going to do our final show before the game. We'll make our picks. We'll break down the week that is in a great week. Next week, just to quickly just whet everybody's appetite. In addition to OU Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, USC, South Carolina, Bama, Ole Miss, LSU, amongst others. I might be missing one. Am I missing one?
You probably are, but I mean, those are the main ones.
It's
you got
so
all the
good.
best ones. It's a great Saturday.
It's so good. But Kevin, let's talk about the week that was in an historic week 6, 2024. We've got to start in Nashville, Tennessee. I watched most of the fourth quarter of Vanderbilt Bama. Okay, I was at a soccer game, keeping track of the score. I watched most of it. Maybe Bama wasn't awake early, but Vanderbilt did not look bad against Alabama. This did not look very fluky to me.
It did not. It did not look fluky at all. The time of possession, their game plan.
46 minutes? Did I see that right?
42 minutes. 42
My God.
to 17 against Alabama. Yeah, they ran the ball well. Now, they weren't, running at 8 yards a pop, but they did.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. You just have to keep them off the field. They kept them off the field. I mean, this time of possession, I've never seen anything like this with the number one team in the country going up against a team like Vanderbilt.
They lost to Georgia Southern, Kevin. They lost to Georgia Southern. They lost to, and we're going to talk about, they lost a close one to Missouri, who at the time we thought was pretty good, who got whacked by A&M. Vanderbilt is not a good football team. They were, but God, they were good last night.
And they're better than typical. Even going into this, though, the point spread was it 22.5? That's not typical for an Alabama Vanderbilt game. So Vegas knew at least that Vanderbilt is better than they typically are. You're normally looking at a 40-point spread between these two programs, especially Bama being number one in the country.
22.5. It was 22.5.
Right. And they look good from the jump. Right. I mean, they jumped all over them. And even when Alabama started getting back into the game, Vanderbilt just kept making big plays in the running game and in the passing game and on defense.
Okay. We know that Alabama played. We know that they played Georgia the previous week. So we know there was some letdown. They weren't looking ahead to South Carolina, though. That's who they have next.
No, South Carolina. You don't look ahead to South Carolina.
I mean,
No.
they have Tennessee in 2 weeks, but you're not looking ahead.
No.
Is the only explanation just a massive letdown against Georgia?
That's what it sounds like, right? I mean, you come off a very emotional game. They're celebrating, feeling themselves. And, you just think you can show up and beat Vanderbilt because that's how it normally goes. You show up to Nashville, you have more fans in the stands, at least as many fans in their stadium as they do. So it's just like you look at it as a party. We're just going to show up, handle business, and get out of there with the win.
And you get to go to Nashville. And you get to go to Nashville.
What a great road trip. Yeah. You get to go watch your team. If you're a fan, you get to go to Nashville, watch your team win, use it as a comfortable victory, and then you get to party downtown Nashville on a Saturday night. What a great road trip. But Diego Pavia, who's tough as nails, by the way, 16 of 20, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs.
Did you see his post-game interview with Alyssa Lang?
It was great.
Kevin, I gotta say it, in the same interview, he thanks God for giving him the strength and the courage, and he had a vision and all. I mean, he was very spiritual in the first 30 seconds of the interview. And then the last 30 seconds of the interview, and he's like, and then we just beat their effing.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. Look, how old are you?
How old am I? I'm 41.
Yeah. Okay, so in your lifetime, Vanderbilt has beaten Alabama, but only once in 1984. But we're talking, it's since the 70s. I don't have the year in front of me. It's since the 70s that Vanderbilt has beaten Alabama in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And like we said, it's just the fact, them jumping out on them is not surprising coming off an emotional win for Alabama against Georgia. But it was the fact that once Alabama really turned it on, they still couldn't stop them. And they still made big plays.
Well, so Alabama scores late, makes it 40-35 on a great pass down the sideline, and then a good 4th down call to Ryan Williams. And you thought, okay, like even till then, I am just not trusting Vanderbilt to close this game out. They're gonna run it.
You're just waiting on it. You're waiting on it to happen.
And what's interesting is the 2-minute timeout adds just like a whole nother dimension that we've never experienced as college football fans. Like you're just looking at it, it's not 3 timeouts anymore. Now it's 4 timeouts in the 2-minute offense. And you're like, well, Alabama's going to get this ball back, and they're not stopping Jalen Milroe. I mean, he's going to go win he's going to have a Heisman moment right here, And they pick up that 2nd and 12 on a very aggressive play call. And you're like, well, this is over.
Correct.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah. For them to throw the ball there, you just don't see that. But I admire their coach for putting it out there. Let's just go win the game. We're not supposed to win anyway.
Okay, let's in another game that was just huge, and I'm not sure. Vandy, Alabama was the best, but now the rest of them they all kind of lumped together in what were really, really good games. Arkansas, Tennessee. Let's go right to the end of the game. You have to let Arkansas score, right?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
You have to,
because they'd have ran down the clock, forced them to use their timeouts, and then kick the field goal with hardly any time left.
And they made it all the way down to like the 20-yard line. I mean, they had a chance going in the other direction.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Kevin, all we heard about after the Oklahoma game, Oklahoma did not win the game. I know that. I'm not an idiot. But all we heard about was, Tennessee let their foot off the gas. Tennessee got it conservative with their play calling. The reason why Tennessee didn't move the ball very well, Tennessee's 3 and outs were based on this, that, and the other. Tennessee scored 14 points against Arkansas. Come on, man. Is that a high-powered offense to you?
Yeah.
We're talking about Arkansas.
No, you're right. And I have a lot of questions about Tennessee's offense. A lot of questions now. Because, I mean, is Arkansas's defense just better than we thought? Or is this just not a good – it's just not a great offense right now? They were not able to hit the big plays in the passing game. They ran it pretty well with Dylan Sampson. But the big plays just were not there. And that's what this offense is predicated off of. It's running to set up the deep shots. And they weren't there. And the end of the game, right, Nico, we talked about having young quarterbacks out there, inexperienced quarterbacks, despite his immense talent.
Get rid of the ball, though. Get rid of the ball.
You got to get rid of the ball. And on that last part, you got to at least throw it up to the end zone.
Absolutely.
You can't run out of bounds with no time left.
He's not making the play 98 times out of 100, but you have to throw it up there. You can't run out of bounds with the ball.
If it gets intercepted, who cares? Like, you have to give your guys and your team a chance. So I don't know, man. This is a really, really bad loss for Tennessee.
But with the 12-team playoff, Tennessee's still alive. This is the SEC. It's an SEC loss on the road. It's a bad loss, but they're still alive, right?
Yeah. It's not catastrophic, but it's a bad loss. Just because you just slows your margin for error. It's smaller now, and you still have a lot of tough games. You still have to play Alabama. You still have to play Georgia if you're Tennessee. So
yeah,
those games become must-win games.
Skipping a couple games. The only thing that would have made this perfect was if Miami would have lost as well, because I'm not a big Miami fan. Now, we did count this as an L, by the way, on this is an L on our picks, because you and I both had Miami covering. 39-38. Miami's playing some hell of a games, dude. They're playing games that are causing them
wild finishes there.
Sometimes teams just figure out how to win. We talked about this with Miami, that they were going to lose games they shouldn't lose, because that's been their history for the last 10 years, maybe longer.
10, 15 years, yeah.
They somehow pulled Virginia Tech out a week and a half ago, albeit very controversial call at the end. And then to come back against Cal on the road and pull out a 39-38 victory.
Yeah, I mean, they're down.
Is Miami for real, or are they the luckiest team in America right now?
I mean, both can be true, right? We've seen. I mean, think about the Ohio State Buckeyes in 2002, right? They just winning all these crazy games at the end, games they shouldn't win, and they just did that. And we just kept saying, "Oh, this team isn't getting good." And next thing you know, they're lifting a crystal football at the end of the season. 35-10. I don't care who you're playing. If you come back from 35-10, that's a good win. Yeah, it's great on the road too. Cal was playing great.
Cal's not a bad team.
No,
we talked about this. They're not a bad football team. They're not a great football team, but they were winning games.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch, Cal. Deshaun Jackson.
Aaron Rodgers is a guy that I would expect to have gone to Cal. I'm never surprised when that reference is made. Marshawn Lynch at Cal, just mind blown.
Yeah, he is from Oakland, so he's a local kid. I think he wanted to stay close to home because he could have gone. He was a 5-star running back. He could have gone anywhere.
Still.
Yeah, that dude. And remember when they won? He's doing the ghost ride, the whip, and the golf cart, and the for Cal. Good times with that dude. Love Marshawn Lynch.
So the only game that we had picked so far is the Miami game. Those were both L's for us. Another game that we picked, we both picked A&M to win. I don't think either of us thought it was going to be 41-10 and a total butt whipping by A&M. Missouri didn't even deserve to be on the field. They have zero. I texted you at one point and said, why is A&M even playing Wegman? And then I continued the rest of the drive. Missouri had absolutely zero pass rush. I mean, that guy was sitting back there like a statue, and nobody was around him. He had all day to pass. They had no way of stopping the run. Look, if you're Missouri, you can't win football games like that. If you can't disrupt an offense like A&M, A&M might be better than we thought, but they're not that good. They're not 41-10 good.
No, we talked about this, though, a little bit in our preview episode. I asked the question, is A&M actually good? I don't know how good they are, but they completely controlled the line of scrimmage on both sides. Like you just said, they couldn't get any sort of pressure on Wegman at all. They couldn't stop the run. And then on the flip side, A&M ran all over them, right? So, yeah, this was very concerning for Missouri, a team that was ranked in the top 10. They have struggled all year. So it's kind of like this has been building. And we kind of have this as we'll know more about Missouri after this game, because if they handle business, okay, then maybe they just got off to a slow start. They got beat down. I would be very, very concerned if I was a Missouri fan this morning. I mean, very concerned.
Washington beats Michigan 27-17. Puts a little dent in the Texas win against Michigan, but still, I think Washington's pretty good.
It's a hard
Michigan,
place to go win on the road there, especially when you don't have a quarterback.
They can't throw the ball, man. They just cannot throw the ball at all. It's just crazy that a program. I get it. We talked about it when they beat USC. That I love their identity. I love that they're going to line up. The problem is you get behind it all. You can't play like that.
Correct.
You cannot play like that and expect to win week in, week out. And Washington, they're not Washington from last year, but there's enough talent there that if you can't throw the ball, you're not winning at their place.
Yeah, I mean, Alex Orji, again, they did not address the quarterback situation in the portal like they could have. And I think they have huge regrets for that. They thought that Alex Orji was going to elevate and win this job easily. And it just didn't happen. They thought a light switch was going to come on, and it hasn't. He was 3 for 7 for 15 yards in this game. They ended up putting Jack Tuttle, who was their third-string quarterback to start the season. He goes 10 of 18 for 98 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 INT. So they end up with 113 passing yards. This is not going to get it done. Rushing the ball, they ran okay, but Kalel Mullings, who we both like, 14 carries for 49 yards. Donovan Edwards showed up 14 for 95, but it's just not enough.
No.
And then there's no big playmakers at receiver for them either. So, yeah, it looks like they can be in for a rough season, and it's literally because they can't throw the football. They've got the running game. They've got the defense. Giving up 27 to Washington is not bad, but there's no way they can score 27 points.
In another game that just made my heart feel so light, Kevin. Sometimes you have a heaviness in your life, and you just need things around you to give you light, right? To just pick you up when you're feeling just, I don't know, maybe not down's not the right word, but you're just feeling like a little sluggish in the day. And then you get some news, at the end of the day, that just is it's just rays of sunshine in an otherwise bleak world. And that's when USC loses to Minnesota 24-17. How awesome is that, Kevin? How awesome it is that Lincoln Riley sucks. It's freaking great. Why don't you defend Lincoln Riley for us, Kevin? Why don't you tell the Oklahoma, Texas fans how great Lincoln Riley is as a coach? Because you love him, dude. You love Lincoln Riley. Further proof Lincoln Riley sucks. You can't lose to Minnesota.
You can't lose to Minnesota. You cannot, even on the road.
Come on, PJ Fleck.
You can't.
What boats are rowing?
You rowed a boat.
Boats.
Rowed a boat.
Boats. You're not rolling up boats. You should beat USC. But they did. Because Lincoln Riley sucks. What do you think about that?
Miller Moss has been great this year. 23 of 38, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Not good. They ran it pretty well. And then, Minnesota did a good job of keeping their defense off balance. Their quarterback was efficient, 15 of 19 for 169 yards. Darius Taylor, the running back, 25 carries, 144 yards.
I'm telling you, dude, USC under Lincoln Riley is not built to play in the Big Ten.
No.
Okay? They will win games, but they are going to lose games they shouldn't win because they will not win the time of possession. But I don't know if they lost it or what at the time of possession. My guess is they lost it. That's just a guess. You can tell me. You're probably looking at the box score. But if you can't defend the run and you can't scheme wide open receivers because Big Ten defenses are usually pretty salty, right? They're usually very fundamentally sound. They don't let a lot of big plays happen. USC is going to have a really hard time in the Big Ten winning games consistently in a Lincoln Riley system. It was built for the Big 12. You could still win games like that in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Right? Texas Tech. Look at Texas Tech right now. Texas Tech is leading the Big 12 at 3-0 in the Big 12 because they that's just in their DNA. You can't take that to the Big Ten, dude.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because when he took that job, they were supposed to be in the Pac-12. He didn't know they were going to the Big Ten. So, yeah, I'm sure he was caught off guard by that. So
I'm sure he puckered.
This is a really bad loss for them. And here's the thing, too, for them. It's not going to get any easier for them. They got to go play Penn State. I mean, it's at home, but still, Penn State undefeated coming into Los Angeles next week. So you can't be 1-3 in conference after four games if you're them. So it's looking pretty bleak out there. This is a game they had to win. Also, real quick, one of your boys is playing for Minnesota, Marcus Major, former OU running back, 7 carries for 37 yards. So I'm
that's
sure
right.
he's
Tawee
at
Wisconsin.
Yeah, but Marcus Major there. So I'm sure he was pretty happy to get a win against his former head coach.
What was that stat line again?
7 carries for 37 yards. Nothing special.
That's a Marcus Major stat line.
So I'm sure he's happy though to get a win against his former head coach.
Somewhere in the state of Minnesota, there is a podcast, right? And the podcaster's like, dude, when you look at Marcus Major, don't you think he should be like the best running back in the Big Ten? I mean, the dude looks like an Adonis. He looks like a god. What is happening? I can tell you, dude. I said that for 2 years, bro. I said it for 2 years. He's going to let you down. But he got you win against USC.
I was like, Eric Gray's a guy. You know, Marcus Major? It's Eric Gray.
It was Eric Gray. You talk about missing a player, man. Oh, dog. Okay. We didn't another game that we missed on. We both had South Carolina covering the 9.5. Look, we talked about it. Does Ole Miss rebound? Do they reassert themselves as a contender in the SEC? I had my doubts. I think you thought Ole Miss was going to win, but you had some doubts. Obviously, you picked South Carolina. Dude, they 27-3.
Yeah.
On the at
really
home.
Stepped up. And not that South Carolina is some sort of juggernaut offensively, but with Lenore Sellers, they can pop some big plays. They have the ability to do that, and now they just completely shut them down. They were really good. That defensive line that they brought in, mostly guys from the transfer portal, they look really good. So yeah, good for them, showing that maybe that loss was just a one-off, and they're still in this thing as far as the college football playoff and the SEC.
We picked Georgia Auburn. The storyline going in, at least from an OU perspective, was, can Auburn look good enough to make us feel good about that win on the road? 31-13 loss to Georgia. I don't know. It's hard. I definitely don't feel better after it. I don't know that I feel worse, but I don't feel better. However, that being said, they did cover. So if you're an Auburn fan and you bet them to cover, you at least walked away with some money.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Auburn is just kind of similar to the game against you guys. They put up some decent numbers, throwing no turnovers. So that's a benefit for them, especially going up against the Georgia defense. So, I mean, still reason for slight optimism for the future if you're Auburn. But, this game they were never going to win against Georgia. It just was never going to happen. Efficient numbers from Carson Beck, 23-29, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. They still aren't running the ball great, though.
Oregon beats Michigan State 31-10. Syracuse upends UNLV's dream season 44-41 in overtime. I think this was a Friday night game.
It was.
Ohio State beats Iowa 35-7. Is Ohio State the number 2 team in the country?
I mean, yeah, some people might vote them number 1. I wouldn't be shocked by that. They look really good so far. And
what's their best win, though?
Their offense hasn't even been elite yet. They're still beating the crap out of teams, which I think is pretty scary for
the Big Ten.
Yeah, and all the college football, really, once they get into the playoff. And they're playing really good defensively. Iowa's just Iowa. I mean.
Yeah, they're Iowa. Penn State beats UCLA. Clemson over Florida State. Iowa State stays ranked with a win over Baylor. Boise State houses Utah State 62-30. In an upset game, the Mustangs of Southern Methodist beat Louisville 34-27. SMU quietly, they lost an early game. I don't even remember who they lost to, but they lost an early game, but they're quietly back at like 4-1, 5-1. And there's getting a little bit of buzz around that program.
Yeah, props to them for going on the road and beating a pretty good Louisville team. It's not, we talked about how it is winning on the road. So going up against new conference opponents too. So
West Virginia beats the tar out of Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is just free falling.
It's a bad football team. Yeah.
38-14. Kevin, Ollie Gordon. There was talks last night that Ollie Gordon might be done playing college football. It's not that drastic, is it?
I mean, it's one of the biggest storylines for me throughout the whole season. What is going on with this dude? And I don't know. I'm not plugged into their program at all. So maybe if you're watching this and you're an Oklahoma State fan, if there's something going on behind the scenes, something, let us know, because I am completely flabbergasted as to why this dude has not gotten going yet this year. This is the best running back. Should be the best running back in college football. And now Ashton Genty from Boise State has taken that and ran with it.
Here's the deal with Oklahoma State. I don't know. Their offensive line might be banged up, I guess. But he was so good. And Big 12 defenses aren't – listen, they're not SEC defenses, okay? This isn't – You're not going against Georgia, Bama, even Kentucky, or even an Oklahoma defense now, right? Or a Texas defense. I'm not even meaning to slight Texas. You're not going up against those guys. You've had some teams where you should be able to pile up some stats on them. Maybe you struggle against Utah and K-State. You can't be struggling against West Virginia running the ball. I don't care how good West Virginia is.
Yeah, you can't get beat down at home. No, this is not Geno Smith and Tavon Austin and Stedman Bailey out there. Come on.
Or even the team that beat you guys. Who was that?
Yeah, we have Will Greer.
Yeah, you got Will Greer and whoever that team was.
Kevin White out there, receiver. Bizarre loss, man. This is not a good football team at all.
In a Big 12 SEC matchup, Florida beats UCF 24-13, I'm sorry. I wonder if Florida might be figuring something out. We'll see. UCF, not a bad team, not a great team, not a bad team. Here's the deal, dude. I gave a lot of love to Navy in the last episode, and rightfully so. They went on to beat Air Force 34-7. We both got wins on that. But how about Army? I talked about Navy. What about Army, Kevin? They go to Tulsa 49-7. They're 5-0. Navy's 5-0. Both schools have Notre Dame on their schedule. Then both schools play the week after the playoff is announced. I know we've got a ton of football left to play. What happens if Army and Navy, is it a possibility they could be meeting on December 13th? And what do? They leave a playoff spot open?
That's a really good question. We kind of talked about this on our preview episode. I have no idea what they do here. No idea. And I don't think the committee even wants Army or Navy in the playoff. No. So I don't know if it even matters. Honestly, I don't think they're putting them in. Even if they're undefeated.
You're okay. I hear you, but I think I actually disagree. I think the media would love a service academy in the playoff. Are you kidding me?
Man,
look, you got to put somebody in.
True.
What I think Boise State's really good, but does Boise State really draw eyeballs like Navy or Army would?
Would drive eyeballs?
Dude, we're Americans, Kevin. We're Americans.
Yes, and proud of it, but come on.
I don't know.
Do you want to see? I mean, I don't know. In respect to the service academy,
Kevin,
do you want to see Navy play against?
I don't want to see any non-power forward play. I think they all
only have one.
I get it. So if we have to have one, yes, give me a service academy. Give me Navy. Give me Army. That's a way better storyline than Boise State or UNLV or Tulane or whoever.
Fair enough, but man, I don't know. They're going to get beat down. Dude, whoever
guys, if you're listening on the week of OU Texas, if you're still paying attention, and we hope you are, Kevin does not like America. You heard it here first. Classic Texas fan. He hates America, hates the service academy. When they asked him if he's in the military, does he want a 10% discount? Kevin says, no, charge me 10% more. I make so much more money, I don't even want to pay for it. Kevin is insane right now. Unbelievable, dude.
Man,
I'm shocked. I am shocked by this.
Man, wow. You have Navy in the playoff. That's fine. That's great.
Dude, listen, I've got America in the playoff, Kevin. I have America. Okay. That's what I have. Kevin, you were 12-14 entering the week. I was 15-11. You picked A&M. I'm sorry, you picked Missouri to cover.
Yeah. They're not a serious team now. They're not a serious football team.
We both had Auburn to cover. We both had South Carolina to cover. Those were L's. We both had Miami to cover. Those were L's. We both had Navy, a surprise move for the Communists, in a win. So you have fallen to 14-17. I have improved to 18-13. It is a hell of a year. We're halfway through. We need to thank our sponsor. Our sponsor is Brown O'Haver. Give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510, if you have to file an insurance claim on your home or your business. We are public insurance adjusters. If you have to file a claim, you want to call Brown O'Haver. Get paid. Get paid for your insurance claim. That's what Brown O'Haver does. They get 30 to 40% more money than you typically do on your own. If you have to file an insurance claim from fire, wind, theft, hail, water, vandalism, call Brad O'Haver, 405-735-5510. If your home got hit by hail, Kevin, who do they call out of this latest storm?
Yeah, give our friends at Pioneer Roofing a call. They can get you taken care of, 405-549-2712.
And Kevin,
this hailstorm was crazy, John. I mean, I've seen lemon golf ball size all throughout the metro.
Kevin, you are probably going to get their roof taken care of at Pioneer Roofing if it's a residential roof. I agree. I would not have you talk about Pioneer Roofing if they weren't going to get it taken care of. But if they didn't, and it just, for some reason, the insurance company's complete buttholes and they didn't want to pay for the roofs, who would you recommend they call?
They have to call Brown O'Haver.
This is what I'm talking about. Okay. Call Brown O'Haver for your insurance claim, for your roof. Call Pioneer Roofing. Kevin, back to OU, Texas. This is what we're here for.
Texas OU, yes.
14 and a half points. I'm not sure I get it. I said that there's a chance Texas can win 35-20. I use that score as an example. But man,
based on the over-under, that's what they're expecting, 34, 35, 20.
That's a lot of points, dude. Listen,
it is a lot of points.
I think Oklahoma has a better defense than Mississippi State.
Of course.
Do you think their defense compares favorably with Michigan's?
I think so. I think Michigan might be a little bit more. I like Michigan's secondary a little bit more. Overall, I love your safeties. I love their corners more. Michigan's corners. I love your safeties are better. You guys have really good safety play, and you have really good linebacker play under which you always expect under Venables. You have incredibly high level of play there. I like Michigan's corners better. I like you guys as a pass rush better than Michigan as well. I think you guys can get after the quarterback.
Is Michigan a better run stop? Is Michigan a better run stopper though?
I think so.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I guess what I'm getting is comparable, right? Like, comparable.
Yeah, different but comparable as far as
I will say, and I think Oklahoma has their deficiencies offensively. Clearly, I've been on record talking about that. I mean, come on, the Tennessee game was it was a joke. It was a joke of an offensive performance. We see now that Tennessee's, come on, it's whatever. However, 2 weeks to prepare, the dynamicism that is Michael Hawkins, and I feel like offensively, we're going to be a bigger challenge than what you saw in Ann Arbor. And you can disagree. Feel free to disagree with me.
Yeah.
But if we get Burks back, I think Michael Hawkins is better than anything Michigan was throwing at you.
Oh my! Yes. Their passing game just their quarterback play is a joke. They did have a great running game.
They got a great running game.
That's the difference between the teams. And my thing is, if Texas can play and keep Michael Hawkins from getting big plays in the running game, where is a passing offense going to come from? Right? You had the big play to J.J. Hester. Shout out to him for making a big play in a big moment, by the way. Right?
He needed it. We needed it. Yep.
Yeah, he's been around for a while, and we hadn't seen much, so that's good for him, honestly. But the consistency, though, right? From the moment that Hawkins had that electrifying run in the first quarter, up until that play for Hester, there wasn't much of anything. A lot of 3 and outs from the offense. So I'm just, where is, from your mindset, what do you think? Where is a passing offense going to?
I'm going to tell you. We're going to get Deion Burks back.
Okay.
I do not know what was wrong with him, but we're going to get Deion Burks back. That's number one.
Are you sure he's back? From what you've been hearing, it's kind of like with Texas with Quinn Ewers. We expect Quinn Ewers to be out there from what we've been hearing. Are you hearing
from what I've been
stuff?
hearing?
Okay.
From what I've been hearing, from the typical soccer dad sources that I have, as well as I will say KREF radio sources, I feel like we're going to have Deion Burks back.
Okay.
We are not having Nick Anderson's not coming back. Do not think Nick Anderson's back, which sucks. I think there's a good chance he's out for the year. Whatever. That doesn't matter. We're talking about this game. So we're going to get Burks back. It's huge in the slot. We know that. We haven't really got to see Hawkins and Burks together. Okay, so I think that's a win. I got my Cut Shop hat on today. Cut Shop, great barbershop, Mustang, Oklahoma, I-40 and Mustang Road. Go see him. My man Evan running. He's got a great deal going there. They're killing it. We've talked about it before. That's my Mustang connection, Kevin. The Cut Shop is my Mustang connection to Jacoby Johnson. Okay. They, via aunts and uncles and cousins, can tell me Jacoby Johnson's going to get run at wide receiver in the Cotton Bowl. I don't know what more locked in source you need. Okay. This is essentially like a Woj bomb. You know, when Wojnarowski was still calling Woj. He's not calling Woj bombs anymore, is he?
No, he's not. He's the GM of St. Bonaventure basketball now.
Listen, I don't think we talked about enough on that guy. That guy's bombs were amazing. Yeah, the news he could drop. It's got to be a really stressful life to want to then leave to be the general manager for St. Bonaventure. But good on you, dude. Anyway, this is basically an OU Texas one. I don't think it's that big of news. I think the kid was going to play. I don't think he was ready to roll on the road in the very first, in a very first SEC road game. But I think given now what will end up being 3 weeks of prep, I think you're going to see Jacoby Johnson get some run. And listen, dude, you haven't seen him, but his tape in high school, he is dynamic.
What do you mean?
And he's a playmaker.
I haven't seen him.
You don't know about it, dude. This is Mustang, Oklahoma. You're busy with your head stuck in Dallas, Texas.
No, I know you're an alum, right?
A Mustang or Oklahoma or both?
Both.
Yeah,
but you act like I didn't watch his recruiting film. Like I wasn't aware of this dude's talent.
How good was he?
Receiver. My thing, dynamic, incredibly dynamic. Yes. But the thing is, though, man, I think he's a really capable corner. And you got some depth issues there because of the injuries. Gentry Williams being out. I think he's a really, really talented corner.
I like him at corner. But if they're not going to play him, he can get his butt on the other side of the ball.
Well, he was playing.
I hear you, but you got dude, we've got nobody at receiver, Kevin. We lost the top 5 receivers if Burks doesn't come back. We've lost our top 5 receivers.
Yeah, you got to do what you got. You got to sacrifice something, right?
Something has to give. And you can't win if you don't score. Right? Yeah. We can have the best defense in the world, but if we're Iowa if we don't score.
That's a good comparison, actually. No, you're right.
Yeah. Notre Dame against that's who you are if you don't score. Which Oklahoma fan is still, and it might take years for us to adjust to this, that we're a defensive-led team. We got to give it a shot, man. The kid is a dynamic playmaker. He's athletic. I'm reminded of a play. I think they were playing Putnam City in basketball. This is just the kind of playmaker this kid is, okay? They're playing Putnam City in basketball, and the OU coaches show up. The football coaches show up to the basketball game, right? Just to make sure he's good, do a check, whatever you're going to do before signing day, give him some love, whatever. Listen, dude, they're down 3 to Putnam City in the waning seconds. And he gets fouled shooting a 3 with no time left. And it's just him on the free throw line. It's one of those deals. It's like, it reminds me of, Teen Wolf. Remember Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox? He's just sitting there. And I think the PCO guy's on the baseline, which I always thought was weird. Like, who lets that guy just stand on the baseline when they're shooting free throws? It's either here nor there. The point is, no time left. Dude, just sinks all 3 free throws, goes into overtime, where he proceeds to score 12 points in overtime and then win going away. The guy is an athlete. He's a playmaker. Is he going to replace Nick Anderson? No. Is he going to give Michael Hawkins some options? I really think so, dude. I think he's capable, and I think if we could get just a little bit of production out of the wide receiver core, we have a chance against you guys.
There's always a chance. I mean, it's a Red River Shootout. It's a Cotton Bowl. We know how these games go. A lot of times we've seen in this matchup, a team gets up big, right? 2017 comes to mind. We've got a true freshman out there, Ellinger. You guys get up 20-0. in the second quarter.
Yes.
And I'm thinking like this is going to be 63-14 again. And next thing you know, Texas has a lead in the fourth quarter before Baker hit Mark Andrews for the game-winning touchdown. So I don't know. Who knows what to expect?
Did Ellinger get knocked out of that game and then had to go back in, or did he just get plumb knocked out of that game?
No. He came back in, which I really didn't like because he was literally knocked out.
Yeah,
he got tackled. It wasn't like a crazy hit. He just got tackled and head hit, bounced off the turf, and he was literally unconscious on the field. Literally.
I shouldn't laugh, but I love it.
And he comes. Bouchel comes in, actually gets us a couple first downs.
That's right. I couldn't think of his name. Shane Bouchel.
Yeah,
that's right. Yep.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy because his whole family. He comes from an OU family, Bouchel.
Isn't that crazy how that works sometimes?
Yeah, it's wild. So and then he ends up coming back in, but just shows you that despite when all the odds are against you, like Texas and you had no business being in that game. I'm looking at the offensive line that they had out there. I'm just like, oh man.
Okay, we're talking.
Just
anything
can happen.
You bring up a good segue. Okay, freshman in this game, and I'll let you count redshirt freshman. Talking Ryan Wingo. Who else are we talking about on the Texas side of the ball? Colin Simmons.
Colin Simmons.
Who feels very comfortable talking trash. Feels very comfortable that they're just going to dominate dominate Oklahoma. He loves it. He doesn't even understand why they're playing the game. He just wants to go play Georgia next week. So,
he doesn't want to play Georgia. No, he wants to get after Michael Hawkins, who I think they're friends, by the way. But he wants to get after him. Yeah.
I like that matchup.
Everybody knows each other. They all know each other.
Give me some more true freshman love from the Texas side of the ball. Who else, including those guys, should we be keeping an eye on?
You mentioned Ryan Wingo, right? He's just a dynamic guy, 6'3", already around 205, 210 pounds, really good speed, good route runner. I'm looking for him. Also, here's the thing about Colin Simmons, man. He is so dynamic off the edge. I have a little bit of a concern, though, about him getting a little bit too far up the field on his rush and allowing Michael Hawkins to escape. So I imagine that's part of the game plan for Texas this week is to make, or at least, that's what they're coaching him up on, not to get too far up the field. And because we can't let Hawkins get loose because even against our defense, and we've got a pretty fast defense, he can go and he can take it to the house.
Who else has Texas played that's a dual threat? To the extent, I know the Michigan guy could run, but that was a single threat. Like you weren't expecting him to pass.
Yeah, nobody like
right?
Hawkins.
You haven't played anybody like Hawkins yet, right?
No, nobody at all. So that's my biggest concern for OU's offense is Michael Hawkins running the ball. Because so far you haven't been able to run the ball with the running backs. You haven't had success there at all. But, and a guy, you can replicate Mississippi State's game plan. You can also replicate Vanderbilt's plan against Alabama from yesterday. Yeah. With the quarterback running game, even with your running backs, if you go 3 yards, if you're patient enough. The problem is, can you slow down Texas enough? I know you can because you have talented and you have a really good defense, but enough to where you can score enough to run that game plan.
I know I keep talking about this, that there's a lot of things that have to take place for Oklahoma to win the game. I think there's a path for Oklahoma to win the game. They can't turn the ball over. I believe Texas can turn the ball over and still win the game. If I said there's if Texas is -2 in turnover margin and they win, I'm not surprised by that. I think it can happen. I think you got the firepower to overturn it. It can't happen with Oklahoma. That's number one. Number two, you mentioned the game plan. Okay, Oklahoma has to win time of possession in order to beat Texas. So not only do we not have to turn the ball over, we got to win time of possession, whether that comes from the running game, quarterback run game, stopping you defensively, for Oklahoma stopping Texas defensively. If they can do that, so they can't turn the ball over, I also think OU has to win the time of possession like we're starting to see in these other SEC games. It didn't happen against Auburn. I don't think it can be that way against Texas.
Correct. Yeah. If this game goes like the Auburn game does for you guys, Texas will win by 2 scores. Right? If it's the same deal, because I don't think Texas will screw it up like Auburn did. Credit to you guys. You guys made the plays that were necessary. But if they're running the ball like that, Texas running the ball like they were with Hunter,
Hunter. Mm-hmm.
then Texas is going to win the game, in my opinion. If they control the clock like that, I think they're going to win the game. You were asking about freshmen earlier. Also, Jared Gibson, the running back out of Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's looked really good. I expect him to play and be a factor in this game. Ryan Niblett, he's a redshirt freshman. You know, he might get some run out there. They might use him on a couple of jet sweeps or something like that. But really, those are the only young guys, freshmen, I expect to really make an impact, besides the guys we mentioned, Colin Simmons and Ryan Wingo.
I mean, for Oklahoma, the bulk of responsibility is falling on a true freshman's shoulders with Michael Hawkins. And then you hope and you expect to have Taylor Tatum back. Again, lots of criticism for him in other phases of the game. But pure runner, I think he's our best pure runner of the football.
I don't even know if it's close, honestly.
I don't think it is.
Right, because what we've seen from Barnes, I mean, he's a physical guy. He's a tough guy. He plays really hard, but
we've seen 3.6 yards a carry. We've seen 3.6 yards a carry.
Correct. And Sawchuk, I don't know what the deal is there. He is really talented, but he just can't get going. And the way he looked as a true freshman towards the end of the season, you would have thought in this scheme, this guy's going to be great. And Kevin, I don't know what has happened the last year and a half.
With what he did against Florida State in the bowl game, going all the way back to 22. With what he did in the bowl game, you're like, my God, this kid's amazing. And then the back half of last year, he was dynamic, not just good. He was over 100 yards the last 6 games of the season. I mean, he was a really, really good running back. He is not worth a diddly do. I mean, it's crazy. Would I love for him to have a breakout game? I guess. But I really don't want to see him toting the ball. Like, it better be Tatum and Javonte Barnes. But anyway, so you got Tatum, you got Michael Hawkins, and you got Jaden Jackson on the defensive line. I mean, those are key, pivotal positions for true freshmen to have. I guess it's really exciting for the future of the program. Unfortunately, the future means nothing in 6 days. We need it to be now. This is all that matters. Is October 12th at 2:30 in the Cotton Bowl. And I'm telling you what, Oklahoma's putting a lot on some freshman shoulders.
It's hard, right? We talked about Ellinger having to go out there and our best option was him controlling the offense. And that's a lot to put on him. It's unfair. It was unfair to Ellinger to have to carry an offense as a true freshman out there taking all those hits against
29-24. Was that the score of the game?
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Look, dude, Texas was not a good team. You were being coached by Tom Herman.
It was his first year, too.
Looking back, though, not a failed experiment. Oklahoma was going to go on to the college football playoff to lose an epic game to Georgia, which I will tell you, they beat Georgia. They might beat Alabama. They were loaded that year.
I absolutely think if you beat Georgia, you beat Alabama.
They were loaded that year.
And it was outstanding team.
And it was a 5-point game with a true freshman and a bad coach. A true freshman and a bad coach. And it was a good game. I have no idea with this Oklahoma defense how you make this a 14.5-point line. I just don't get it. I'm sorry. We've seen enough of this game. I'm not saying Oklahoma. Look, we don't pick the game because we take Oklahoma and you take Texas. That's how this game works. There's no picking of the game. It's either OU wins or busts.
Yes.
But as the line goes, I just don't get it, dude. Our defense is dynamic. Can Texas win? Yeah. Yes, Texas. Yes, they're the number 1 team in the country. They should win the game. But that doesn't mean they should win it by 15.
Yeah, what I'm really curious about when it comes to Texas offense going up against OU's defense, I want to see if Texas can really run the ball. Because at this point in the season, no one's really been able to push you guys around. Auburn had some success running the ball. But, I want to see if Texas really attacks your defensive line and tries to run at you guys and how that works. Also, I think Texas likes this matchup with their receivers going up against your corners.
I agree.
The safeties, the middle of the field, and Auburn learned that, it is where you guys are really, both your linebackers, Stutzman, Kip Lewis,
Well, and
big
McKenzie when he comes
exactly. When he's in.
Almost ego when he fills into that space as a cheetah. Absolutely, 100%.
And then the safeties, right? When you have Billy Bowman and Robert Spears Jennings, dynamic safeties, as good as a duo of safeties as you will find in all of college football. But I think the corners, though, is where Texas has the advantage with Isaiah Bond and Wingo and Matthew Golden and DeAndre Moore. That's the matchup I think Texas will try to exploit in the passing game without even attacking the safeties.
I think Kenai Walker is a good corner, not great.
Yeah.
I think Des Malone is a good corner, not great. Woody's making me nervous this year.
Yeah.
He just looks a little outclassed by the competition. Like he looks like the hanger-on of the defense that was really good in the Big 12, but wasn't ready to make the jump to the SEC.
Yeah. And
the problem is Gentry, I think, was the best corner.
Absolutely. I think by a wide margin.
He just can't stay healthy. All indications are he's out for the year.
And the Kendall Dobie loss is massive too, especially in this game to cover the slot receivers from Texas.
It's massive. I will say, we talked about this. It's been 56 minutes and 30 seconds before I mentioned Dason McCullough. I'm excited to have him back. Run support and Gunnar Hill. That's your job, Dason. Run coverage, run support, and guarding Gunnar Hill.
Yeah.
If you can take him out of the game. Look, Quinn. Listen, dude. Oklahoma. I'm going to give you so much crap about Quinn all week. His performance in the first quarter last year. What we've done to him in the past in other situations. I'm fine with it. But at the same time, he's not a bad quarterback. But you got to take weapons away. You've got to make them in ways like if we can make you one-dimensional and can't run the ball, I'll take that all day long. The problem is if we let you have the full complement of your playbook, that's where Sark can get you. That's where Sark can be.
It's tough. He'll get you off balance, and it's hard to know exactly what's coming and when. And where, so Kendall Dobie. And the thing about McCullough, I've liked him since he was a recruit.
Yeah, at Indiana. And you liked him before Indiana.
Correct. My thing is, though, it's asking a lot for him to – has he played at all this season?
No, I agree.
It's a lot right. To come. Just to come as your first game, no real game speed, and to step into that kind of environment for any player.
Well, it's going to be this – look, I talked up Jacoby Johnson. It's going to be the same thing for him. To get your first game reps in receiver against Texas in the Cotton Bowl, are you kidding me? Yeah. I'm going to say that is not necessarily an ingredient for success. Okay, that's tough.
Okay, did he get in? Did he even get in against Auburn?
If he did, he had no targets. I know. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he got in on special teams.
Yeah.
But if he did, I don't think he had any targets.
Well, first of all, props to him for being a team player because he's the guy who was playing at corner. It's not like he was on the bench and this was a path for him to get on the field.
Agreed.
He was playing, so props to him for being a team guy and putting the needs of the team first. A lot of guys would not do that. But like you said, tough to come into that environment and be expected to make plays.
Okay, it's I say it's early. We've had 2 weeks to think about it. It's kind of mid-early. The juices are starting to get flowing. All I could think about when I was watching these games from yesterday was, well, if Bama can lose and Tennessee can lose and Missouri can get waxed and USC can lose and all of these teams can go down, you can't tell me OU doesn't have a chance in a week.
Correct. And the good thing about that is we were both on a bye, and I think we both got to sit back and watch that. And hopefully our guys are like, hey, man, look,
lock in.
Cotton Bowl first of all. Lock in, yeah. And the motivation, I told you I didn't like the way we opened last year. I thought you guys were the much more aggressive team. to start the game. This needs to be the opposite this year. That can't happen. We got to come out with our hair on fire and try to just get it to the point to where there's very little hope for your offense. That's from a Texas fan standpoint. Get an early lead and then say, okay, now come back on us.
Oklahoma has to keep it close. It's got to be a 1-point score or less going into the fourth quarter. That's it. We've got to do things that make Quinn pucker a little bit, that make Sark maybe make a bad call and give her the wrong read. All those, again, I'm talking about all the things that have to happen. If everything is just played as the season has progressed so far, Texas wins the game. Okay? Texas is the number one team in the country. They got running backs. They got receivers. They got an offensive line. They got Colin Simmons and a pretty good defense. They got Quinn Ewers, who is, I don't think it's going to screw things up, although we saw last year maybe he did. If everything plays out as the season plays out, Texas wins the game. But not 14.5. I'm going to keep coming back to that. If that line stays there, you are out of your damn mind.
I'm not upset about it. About how you feel about it. You know what I mean? Because I was surprised too. That's why I reached out to you. And this is
when did that line jump? It didn't.
I'm not sure. No, it did not.
6.5. What did 6.5 last week?
It was. I saw anywhere between 6.5 and 8.5 last week. So I'm not sure exactly when it became 14.5.
Kevin,
I have a question though, real quick before we.
No, please take your time. Take your time.
In the unfortunate event.
Easy. Don't put juju on me. I might not answer the question. Go ahead.
I'm not that guy. If there were to be an injury at quarterback in this game for you guys, it happens. We've seen it happen before, right? We've seen Sam Bradford, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, get injured in this game.
If Casey's healthy, I want Casey.
Okay. Yeah, and I heard Texas is actually doing some prep for him. Because I think they expect to see him too if something were to happen with Michael Hawkins.
I think, unfortunately, I think Jackson's confidence is shook. I think that, and maybe more importantly, the team's confidence in Jackson is shook.
I think it's non-existent. It's more than shook.
You could be right. I might be being nice. Listen, a team's got to fight for you. They got to believe in you. They got to think you're going to make the play. Look, Hawkins' statistics through 6 quarters are not. I mean, we're not dealing with Lamar Jackson or Jameis Winston.
Yeah, only one stat that matters for him.
He won the game.
Yeah, that and 0 turnovers. That's been the difference. He had to turn the ball over.
Listen, you're right. But what I was going to say, and you're right, that is huge. But his willingness to go jump over 2 dudes to get to the end zone, whether it's a touchdown or a 2-point conversion, if that doesn't fire up a defense, I don't know what does. Listen, on a college football level, forget Oklahoma, but on a college football level, these guys have to get fired up. They just do. Now, if you have to get fired up to play Texas, probably not. But when you see your teammate say, you know what, screw it. I'm putting this on my back. I'm going to get it. It's like what we saw with Ellinger. I think that Herman in 2020, you were there. In 2020, Ellinger put the game on his back in the fourth quarter. And your team was playing for Sam Ellinger. And if you go for 2 at the end of the game, you win the game.
You win the game. You win the game.
Ellinger gets in. Ellinger gets in.
I'm like, bro, you really want to keep going head-to-head in overtime against Lincoln Riley? What's wrong with you? Win the game. It was right there.
The game.
You guys were so exhausted.
You can't tell me if it gets to the moment where we have a chance to win the game on a 2-point conversion, that regardless of what happens, win or lose, that our team doesn't think Michael Hawkins can get in the end zone.
Yeah, you got to go for it.
You're going to go for it, and you believe you can get in. Texas believed Sam Ellinger was going to get in. Hell, Oklahoma believed Sam Ellinger was going to get in.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, extra point. Let's go to overtime.
That was the
Yeah, bro,
dumbest call. Dude,
you just completed. I mean, you're down 17 in the fourth quarter. You come back
it's
to
absolutely a dumbest call. It's as dumb of a call as Lincoln Riley not going for it on 4th and 1 in 2017 against Georgia. Nobody thought they could stop Rodney Anderson, including Georgia. And he put the team on his back for 4 quarters. You believed in him. You knew it could happen, and you take the ball out of his hands. I'm telling you what, Brent Venables will put the ball in his hands. For as defensive a coach as he is, he will put the ball in his hands, and there's nobody on OU sideline that doesn't think Michael Hawkins can go get 2. Nobody. Yeah, will he? I don't know. Maybe he won't, but everybody thinks he can, and that's huge. Kevin, I'm going to remind everybody, special guest on Tuesday. We'll have that episode out by noon on Tuesday, more than likely. Special guest on Wednesday to break down their experience in the Cotton Bowl and maybe how the game's changed a little bit. We'll see. We'll let you all be the judge of that in our guest on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, where the rubber meets the road, we will break the game. Dude, listen, we've broken the game down in the last 30 minutes. I don't care. We'll break it down again in minute detail. We'll have injury reports out by then. The line, we'll see if it moves. We'll break that down. So that's what the week looks like for the greatest week in sports. And maybe not the greatest week in sports. Maybe the greatest week of our lives. Okay? That's what we're dealing with this week. But first, we got some NFL action. Baker looked like he was playing with a Alex Grinch defense on Thursday night. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Did you not think Alex Grinch was calling the defensive calls against Atlanta?
I don't know if it was that bad, but yeah, it was. There were some questionable moments for sure. It was a bizarre football game. It was a fun one to watch, though.
Or it was so fun. It was so fun. Baker looked great. Michael Evans, not Michael Evans. Yeah, Mike Evans looked great. Yeah. But unfortunately, Kirk Cousins looked good too. That was a couple of weird calls at the end of that game, though.
It was, yeah. But 500 yards passing though for Cousins.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Their success is not sustainable. Atlanta, they cannot run the ball despite having 2 talented running backs in Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. They can't get the running game going, and unless they do, they're not going to be very good this year.
Your Dallas Cowboys are in surprise. Kevin, this might be a surprise to you. I don't know if you knew what the schedule was coming into this week. They have another primetime game, Kevin. They're the 7:20 game.
America's team. People are going to tune in to watch either way.
Yeah, I think they're going to tune in to watch a train wreck. That's what I think they're going to tune in to watch.
This is not a good team this year.
This reminds me when I was a kid. I grew up in the 80s as a child. And I just thought the Cowboys were just terrible all the time. I had no idea that they were actually ever any good because you just had terrible team. Danny White was the quarterback. I mean, they were bad. I kind of am wondering if the Cowboys are this bad this year.
I don't know if they're, 1980, was it 88, 89 when they were 1-15.
Yeah, they might not be that bad.
They're not that bad, but yeah,
But they're not that good.
Yeah, there's just a lot of holes in the roster.
Pittsburgh is Justin Fields playing? Will he start?
Yeah, they're keeping. I think Russell Wilson is pretty much healthy, but they're gonna stick with Justin Fields.
You wanted Justin Fields going into the season. Yeah. You wanted him to hit the run.
He's one of those guys, man. I think everybody has that one guy who you never give up on as a pro because you were so high on them in college. I've got a couple of those guys. Justin Fields, one of them. Kyle Pitts, the tight end for Atlanta too, is a guy I'm never going to give up on that dude, even unless they retire.
In the early morning game, we already have a win on an early morning game by the Minnesota Vikings over the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets. You told me Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions.
That's right. Yeah, it's not looking good for them offensively at all.
Has the game passed him by? Are we at that point?
Well, yeah, I think he's just old. It's not like he can't comprehend what's going on and see everything. It's just he's a 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles tear. There's only so much you can expect at this point from him physically. But, his mind, of course. Same with Peyton Manning, right? You just talk point. He's had multiple neck injuries, nerve damage in his shoulder because of it. Couldn't get the ball downfield anymore.
How Peyton Manning was able to win a Super Bowl makes me – I never really think the NFL is rigged until he wins a Super Bowl against Carolina. And then I'm like,
Well, that was an historically good defense, though.
I know, but that was a historically bad performance by a quarterback in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he couldn't throw the football.
No.
They could not throw the football down the field.
It looked like Josh Heupel against Florida State in the national championship game. Another game where a guy that couldn't throw the football won. Minnesota, though, Sam Darnold, 5-0. Do you see this coming?
No, God, with Sam Darnold. I still don't know if I'm all the way in on him just based on what we've seen.
Kevin? What do you need to see?
It's hard to compare against all this history.
You're not in on Army and Navy either, dude. Like, come on, bro. Jump on the bandwagon.
I love the Army and Navy game. I just don't love them playing for a national championship.
Oh, my God. And then a game this evening, which I think will be really good, is my brother Jacob's Saints against the Chiefs. You keep waiting for the Chiefs to have a stinker because you are not impressed with how Mahomes has played this year. They lose another weapon in Rashid Rice. By the way, is that a real video of his mom stealing something out of somebody's in front of somebody's like house or hotel room or something?
TMZ reported it, which usually they're not putting it up unless it's verified. So
that's sketchy, right? What would you think if your mom stole something off of somebody's deal? Would you be a little more?
I have no idea because she would absolutely never do that. And yes, I would. I would.
What am I talking about?
Your
mom's a saint.
Beyond a saint, man.
But, my mom's sketchy, my mom's not that sketchy.
I'd be horrified, especially if I was in the NFL.
I love your mom. Yo, what is going on there, though? Come on. Just stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Anyway, the Saints beat the Chiefs this afternoon?
I think that game is that a Monday night game? But either way,
is it?
I think it is.
Oh, it's a great Monday night game, then.
Yeah.
That's a great
I don't know, man.
Did I miss that?
Maybe, but it's all right. The thing about it is, their defense is still solid for Kansas City, and Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league, but they're down a lot of weapons, and Travis Kelce hasn't come on yet this season, and now you're looking to Xavier Worthy to be the guy. I don't know if he's ready to be a number one. Now, that wasn't their intention for him when they drafted him. Right. So we'll see what kind of game plan, though. Having Andy Reid in this situation helps because he can maximize what they get out of whatever weapons they have out there. They did it all last season and won a Super Bowl doing it. So
I was about to say, you've got Andy Reid, you got Patrick Mahomes, who might not be playing his best ball, but Mahomes' C-ball is a top 5 quarterback in the league.
That's right.
I mean, that's what he's earned. He's earned that respect. And you can question it, I guess, but they're still undefeated.
Yeah. That's right. The Saints have looked okay so far, where they've hit some big plays with their offense. Alvin Kamara looks good. We got Chris Olave up there, receiver. So it should be a fun football game. I'm looking forward to watching it.
I guess Devontae Adams says he wants to go to the Saints.
Well, he loves Derek Carr.
Yeah, play
with
Derek
boy, Carr. Man. Fresno State. He literally went to Oakland so he could play with Derek Carr. That's his guy.
If they pick him up, that's tough. That makes
tough.
That makes the Saints pretty decent, I think.
It is. I mean, you already have Olave. Who are you going to guard? I know the Jets want him too. I'd rather play for the Saints if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, I don't think you need the dumpster. The Jets are.
Yeah.
They're the Jets, right? Like this is just who they are and it's just a program that, or a franchise, I should say. Program's college, a franchise that just is what it is. They're the Cleveland Browns. It's the New York Jets, and whoever else. I don't know. Is Tua out for the year?
I don't think he's been ruled out for the season yet, but who knows? I'm not expecting to see him, and they're a mess too. They're a bad football team, and honestly, they didn't look good even with Tua. So,
Kevin, so you Texas week. That's all you need to hear. That's all you need to know to get fired up. Enjoy the NFL, but get ready. Because I don't know if the Sooners are going to bring it this week. I am going to bring it. Okay? I am going to bring it. I am going to bring you the absolute peak John Whitson pre-OU Texas that you've ever seen in the 3 years we've done it.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Is that a good thing?
Until this point, Kevin, I've been mild. Okay? I'm a 14.5-point dog. That pisses me off. The more I only learned about this about an hour and a half ago. So I haven't even had time to absorb it. But I'm telling you what, it pisses me off. I don't know how many games Oklahoma has to beat Texas's ass. This is normally a rant. This should be the pregame. I should have put this first. But I'm like starting to settle into this, and I'm thinking to myself, the disrespect, Kevin, is unbelievable. I am shocked. Look, I don't care about a 14.5-point line, except to say it's disrespectful. Okay? All OU has done is owned you for the last 25 years. So I don't even know what to say, what to do, what to think. But Kevin, I am going to absolute bring it this week. I think Danny Stutzman's going to bring it. I think Billy Bowman's going to bring it. I think Michael Hawkins, the true freshman, whose dad knows what this is about, so you know he knows what it's about, they're going to bring it. So you better buckle up, Kevin. Buckle up.
Oh, well, listen to me. Quinn Ewers is going to bring it to that secondary.
Come on, dude.
Oh, yeah.
When you say that, do you realize how dumb that sounds at Quinn? Listen, if you want to say Colin Simmons is going to bring it, okay. You want to say Ryan Wingo's going to bring it? You want to say your offensive line is going to bring it? I'm down. Quinn Ewers bringing it is a joke.
He's going to bring it. I'm telling you right now, he's going to bring it to that secondary. Your corners, Kanai Walker, buckle up. Isaiah Vaughn, all you're going to see is the back of his name running into the end zone. Both of them.
Dude, listen, I love it. I'm so fired up. Look, I almost need to settle down. I'm so fired up. I can't even believe it's this late in the podcast and I'm this fired up. Kevin, enjoy the NFL.
Real quick. If you're watching this still, please keep liking and subscribing and commenting. Keep the discussion going in the comments because I want to hear what y'all think about this game. Who's going to win? What are the storylines that you're watching? Did you see the Texas fan? I already mentioned this. I'm going to bring it up again. Texas OU. What is he doing? What do you mean, what is he doing? He's addressing the game by its proper title.
Don't tell me how to call the game, dude. I don't need Texas fan telling me how to call the game.
It's Texas OU. Y'all can call it OU Texas. That's fine. But we call it Texas OU.
Did you see my comment back to him?
I did not.
I got my ass kicked in elementary and junior high and high school for calling it the OU Texas game in San Antonio.
There you go.
You think a little internet bullying is going to dissuade me, Kevin? It will not.
No. You call it.
It will not.
I will refer to it as Texas OU.
You know what? Is that how it's going to be this week? Is that how it's going to be this? You live in Oklahoma. You're married to a Sooner. You tell me what the name of the game is. You know it's OU Texas.
No,
are we literally fighting about that?
It's Texas OU. We can.
Oh my God. Listen, I did not know this was. I should have known it was going to get contentious. Okay, but I put it on you, Kevin. I'm not putting it on me. I think you're being unreasonable here. I think the viewers know if somebody's being unreasonable, and I think they're going to see right through it. They're going to see your smug little 14.5-point favorite attitude, and they're going to know that you're the one being unreasonable. It is the OU Texas game. For 17 out of the last 25 years, it's been the OU Texas game, and we're about to make it 18.
Oh, no, not happening. The hat is coming back to Austin. And it's fine.
It hadn't been there in a while, so just enjoy it. It hadn't been there in a while. Dude, you count that game? You count that game when we had to have a tight end running quarterback?
Hey, that's your fault for not getting your roster right. You have the transfer portal. No excuses for not having another quarterback.
You know what? I'd love it.
Put Nick Evers in the game.
I'd love it. Dude, Nick Evers was terrible, apparently. I don't even know. Where's that dude at?
Last I heard, he was at Wisconsin.
No, listen, all that aside, I would love it if Gunnar Helm had to play quarterback. I mean, I don't want y'all to get, knocked out, but, ankle tweaks.
Well, I will say this.
I'd be fine if Gunnar Helm had to take snaps at quarterback. That would be okay with me.
If Quinn Ewers were to get injured, I feel pretty good about our backup quarterback situation.
Who's it? I don't know who you have back there.
Yeah, I think
know anything about your backup quarterback
from New Orleans. The guy who y'all's fans said was a 3-star if he didn't have his last.
Oh,
that guy.
That's right. Yeah, he's okay. I don't want to play him. I don't want to play his legs. I already said I'm on record. I'm on record that Quinn gives OU a better chance to win.
Look, when he had that long run against UTSA, he almost and don't think I'm going too far here. Don't think
you're about to go too far. You're about to go too far.
If you go back and you watch, there was a game in 2003. Texas was playing against Nebraska. And Vince Young had a long touchdown run.
You're comparing Arch Manning to Vince Young, the greatest quarterback in 2005, the greatest quarterback of that season, maybe the greatest quarterback of the first 10 years of the decade and the century, and you are going to say that Arch Manning reminded you of Vince Young.
I'm going to show you the video.
This podcast has officially hit ridiculousness.
I'm telling you.
I have said some crazy stuff on this podcast, Kevin. I have gone over the edge. I have picked OU to finish 10-2. I picked OU to go undefeated a couple years ago. They went 7-5. Nothing is as stupid as you comparing Arch Manning to Vince Young.
Okay. I'm telling you, watch the two videos, and on those particular runs, if you look at how they ran on that play, Arch Manning running for a long touchdown looked very similar to Vince Young running for a long touchdown. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Arch Manning is going to win a national championship. I'm not saying that he's going to go down in history. But if you go watch those two plays, it was very similar. That's all I'm saying. He hit 21 miles an hour on the GPS. What are we talking about?
If this is what if this is what I can expect you to bring this week, this will be the easiest week of my life. If this is the kind of trash talk and stats and thoughts and takes that you're going to bring, this is the easiest week of my life, Kevin. Look, we've got an hour and 20 minutes. I think we went too long. I think your brain's fried, bro. I think your brain is fried.
Takes is that my takes are typically spot on. Typically.
Okay.
I'm saying one play. See, and that's the thing. That's the thing about you, and you're being very typical of a lot of the OU fan base, right?
Am I?
I say that this one particular play that Arch Manning had, and this one particular play that Vince Young had, these plays look very similar. Okay, it's like if you were to tell me, okay, hold on, let me finish.
Are you going to tell me Michael Hawkins, the one play Michael Hawkins ran against Auburn, looks similar to Vince Young or Lamar Jackson? That's what you're. If I say, hey, on one play, Michael Hawkins looked like Lamar Jackson. That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me. That's okay to bring that to this podcast.
How was it not okay if we're talking about one play? Okay, when Michael Hawkins had that 48-yard touchdown run against Auburn,
and he looked like
you know who I thought about? You know who I thought about it? No, I'm not even comparing Kyler Murray. That's something Kyler Murray would do. He looked like Kyler Murray with that kind of speed and acceleration.
I would not say that.
It's one play.
I wouldn't say it.
I'm not saying.
Dude, you got to earn it. You got to earn those comparisons. You have to earn those comparisons.
I'm not saying he's Kyler Murray.
No.
I'm not saying he's better than Kyler.
I don't care what you're saying. I'm saying the same thing about your Kyler Murray take and your Vince Young take. You have to earn it.
It's
Vince Young on the greatest. Listen, Vince Young has a 45-12 win against Oklahoma. Vince Young has one of the greatest performances in the history of the national championship game against USC. Maybe one of the greatest teams of all time. You do not talk about plays, individual plays, in the same breath with the levels of Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield and Vince Young and Colt McCoy until they do it. Until they do it, Kevin. I don't want to hear it.
I'm yawning. I'm sorry. Your takes are just
wow.
Even though you're yelling, you're putting me to sleep. I'm really.
This
sorry.
is shocking behavior.
Really,
this is shock.
Yeah.
Listen, we have done this for I've known you for 7 or 8 years. We've done this for 3 years. You are the most reasonable sports fan. You're probably the best sports fan I know. That's the absolute worst take I've ever heard in my life from anybody. My daughter Marjorie, my other daughter Lilia, my wife Alice has 1,000 better sports takes than Arch Manning is as good as Vince Young. I don't know what else to tell you.
There you go. See, there you go with your narrative, and honestly, a lie. I never said Arch Manning was as good as Vince Young.
That's what I heard.
When Michael Hawkins, you're telling me when Michael Hawkins had that 48-yard run, you didn't say, that reminded me of something Kyler Murray would do. That never crossed your mind. One play. You're for some reason taking this and projecting this for the entire 2018 season. I'm talking about literally one play. He was shot out of a cannon.
No.
That was a Lamar Jackson type play. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson. He's played in 4 games. Or he's played, 2 games?
6 quarters. 6 quarters.
What?
It was a nice run. It was a nice run.
It was the best play you guys have had all season.
Offensively.
Correct.
Defensively, it was Kip Lewis. Kip Lewis, pick 6.
Yeah, that's your play of the season. Offensively, best play you've had.
Was your best play of the season when Arch Manning looked like Vince Young? Is that your best play of the season?
Offensively, yeah, it's great. Great play. It was an exciting play. It just gives a glimpse of the future.
I'm on the record, Kevin. I don't want to see Arch Manning on the field in the Cotton Bowl. I do not want to face his athleticism. I think as a dual threat quarterback, he gives you a better chance to win the game. Do not bring he looks like Vince Young to this podcast. Do not bring it.
He's looked like Vince Young on one play. One play. It's one play. And that's the problem with your narrative creating, and I get it. One play. I said one play. One play.
It's not the way this works. You have to earn it. You have to bring it. That's like saying Jaden Blue has a good run, and you're like, man, that looks like Earl Campbell. No, it doesn't look like Earl Campbell. It doesn't look like Earl Campbell
if he ran over 10 guys.
Until there's bodies laying behind you for 4 years. You don't get to say it, Kevin. You don't get to say it.
Okay.
You're talking about Vince Young's a legend, right? I am saying this as an OU fan. Vince Young is a legend. You don't get to say that.
It's
That's
one
all
play.
I'm saying. Dude, he better win a national championship. Look, dude, I rarely put quarterbacks in the same name as Josh Heupel. And Josh Heupel was the worst quarterback out of like our top 5 quarterbacks. And I don't want you to talk about it. No. Bradford, Baker, Kyler, and Landry Jones.
Y'all don't like Landry though.
I don't like Landry.
Y'all did Landry dirty.
I don't like Landry Jones.
Y'all gave him.
I liked his wife. His wife was a great basketball player.
Yeah.
They made a Final Four.
Gave him I don't want to say the Chris Sims treatment like our fans gave. Chris Sims.
Landry Jones did beat Texas in a football game. Pretty handily one year, if I recall.
Yes. But the way y'all treated
Chris Sims never completed.
Yeah, but the way y'all treated him. Though.
You're telling me, okay, so not only, okay, so let me understand this. Let me understand.
Hey, no. I'm about to mute you. You're not about to go and start running away with this. I'm saying the way you treated your fans treated the stop. You're not about to go and run and make up some narrative like you and your suitors do. You always do that. You guys treated him like he was Chris Sims, who never beat your rival. That's how you guys treated Landry Jones. Like Texas fans treated Chris Sims. I don't know why you guys treated him like that.
So I want to understand. Okay. Have you ever been to like marriage counseling or anything?
I have.
My wife makes us go like every 2 years just to get a tune-up. You know what I'm saying? It's like she calls it behavioral therapy. And you have to repeat back what your partner said, right? So you make sure you test for understanding. So you have to repeat back what your partner said. Am I allowed to do that right now?
You are, but you're going to say something
Am I allowed to repeat back what I thought I just heard?
Yes, you can. But even though what you think
this
you heard is not what I said.
What you're doing is not a healthy. You're not being very healthy right now. Okay?
I'm going to mute myself while you talk.
Thank you. I didn't want to do that, but thank you. What you're telling me, I can't already do it with a straight face, is that you're comparing Chris Sims and Landry Jones and their performance in college as quarterbacks. That's what you just told me. You can unmute now.
Okay, I'm unmuted. No, what I said is your fans treated one of the most successful quarterbacks in the history of OU football like we treated Chris Sims, who never beat OU, which I thought was wrong by our fans. I hated the way we treated Chris Sims. Well, you treat Landry Jones like that, and I don't know why.
Well, maybe we have higher standards in Texas. Has that crossed your mind? Maybe we expect more from our quarterbacks. Maybe we expect our quarterbacks to not lose at K-State. Throw picks.
Baker lost at K-State. Jalen lost at K-State.
Dude, Jalen, we sucked in that game. We sucked in that K-State game. I had to go buy a new hat after that game that said run the damn ball because I don't know what Lincoln Riley was doing in that game against K. Why are you going to bring up K-State? We're talking about OU Texas.
Hey, man. We've both gotten got by K-State before. Although Texas did won 7 straight against them, and I'm glad we don't play them anymore.
I'm glad we don't play anybody in the Big 12 anymore. I'm glad we don't play anybody in the Big 12 anymore. I hate all those teams. I'm glad Oklahoma State got their ass kicked by West Virginia. Kevin? before this goes completely off, this is already off the rails, okay? Before it goes off the sidecar and down the ravine and blows up like in a movie, we better end it. Kevin, enjoy the NFL. You better bring it. You better bring it with a better take than Arch Manning is Vince Young. You better bring it with a better take than that. Kevin, I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. I don't even have to say have a great week because I'm going to see you on Tuesday. You better bring it on Tuesday. You better bring it on Tuesday.
Don't I bring it? Come on, man. Y'all know what it is.
Share, like, please, comment. Let's keep this going for the next week. It's the greatest week in a Texas fan and an Oklahoma fan's life. Kevin, Boomer.
Horns up, baby. Hook 'em.